It's the Trash Player League. Let's get it. Hello and good morning. Welcome to FLCN as we present to you the Trash Player League. We are in week 2 of the playoffs. Week 1 of the playoffs is in the book. I can't believe that we got here. It's been so fast, it seems like. It seems like we just started this league not too long ago, and now we are in the playoffs, and this season is almost over. But with that being said, man, it's been a fun ride. It's been sad for a lot of us, and it's only getting sadder as we draw down and more people join myself in the loser bracket. But it is what it is. We're going to check out these scores, see who gets what in the consolation rounds, and we're going to see who's going to continue on their journey to making the Super Bowl here in the league, I guess. But things have changed a little bit. As you can see, I'm here this morning and I'm by myself. No co-host. Again, I promise you this isn't a trend. It's just that the league this year, with the COVID stuff and several games being pushed to Monday and Tuesday, it threw things off. We weren't able to record on Tuesday, so we are here Wednesday, and here Thursday morning, and it's just me because I'm the only person that's available right now. But hopefully we get both of the fellas back for this next one. But anyway, that doesn't matter because it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of the situation, which is the 3 and out for the first round of the playoffs. So let's look at it here. We're going to go into week 15, the semifinals of the playoffs, and check out these scores here. Alright, first up we have Team Boom or Bust, who gets knocked out of the playoffs by the Indy Animals, and Raw Dog Supreme, who takes a huge L from FTW. Lombarcus Prime was on bye and he took everybody out of his lineup, so it showed them scoring no points there. And Big Trust, who was also on bye, clearly needed it, because without that bye week, he would have took the L to both people. Actually, he would have took the L to everybody except for Raw Dog Supreme this week. So shout out to Big Trust for actually securing that bye week, because if he didn't, he'd be knocked out. And we'll get into why that is when we look at his team here later. After Fantasy Football Guides in the consolation bracket is another player that needed that bye week. And it's a shame because he only scored 79.38, which goes to show that it's a good thing he didn't make the playoffs, because he would have lost horribly. He would have lost to everybody that's in the playoffs this week. If any person that's in there, he would have lost because of that. So it makes me feel a little bit better that knowing that my team wasn't going to make it anyway. And we'll look at that, why the score is that way here later. Your player got hurt, loses to Corey's championship team. This just so happened to be the biggest blowout of the week as well. We Not From 750 loses to I Love Cam Newton. and Reese's Buttercup team, she puts up 95.50 points this week. And so there you have it, folks. That's the scores. Now let's actually look a little bit deeper and see what happened. So Team Boomer Bust loses 115.50 to 120.24 to the Indie Animal team here. Now let's look at it. Team Boomer Bust gets a good contribution from Josh Allen and a huge contribution from Tyreek Hill here. Josh Allen gives him 24.80 points. He gets 3 passing touchdowns, 210 yards, 24 rushing touchdowns. And Tyreek Hill gives him 148 yards, 12 receptions, and 1 receiving touchdown. The big difference here when it came to these two teams is that the running backs, Boomer Bust didn't get much from his running backs. He started Mike Davis, who only gave him 2 points this week. And George Kittle, who in his tight end position, who has been going off, kind of came down to earth and had a normal day for a tight end of his caliber. He had 6 receptions, 93 yards, no touchdown. He had a touchdown that would have put Team Boomer Bust over the top to win this game, but he did not. And on the flip side, you have Keenan Allen, who comes through with 6 receptions, 78 yards, and a receiving touchdown to give him 19 points. Nick Chubb, who was having a terrible first half, all of a sudden came alive. He came alive in that second half, and at the end of the day, he had 91 rushing yards, 1 rushing touchdown, and 1 reception. Gave him 16 points there. But the big winner here for Team Indie Animals is Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry gets 6 receptions, 77 yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns, which gives him 25.70 points. That was the big deal here for Team Indie Animals. Now let's look at the bench and see if anything would have changed either of these fellas' fate. And right away we see that there's a lot of things that would have changed the fate of Team Boomer Bust. Team Boomer Bust did not have the connection with his team this week. He started all the wrong people and had all the right people sitting on his bench. He had Amon St. Brown with 23.50 points sitting on his bench. He had Russell Gage here with 23.10 points sitting on his bench. Team Boomer Bust said that I spoke to him earlier this weekend. I know that he was thinking about not starting Mike Williams, but when the Thursday night game came, he played them anyway. It was like kind of a last minute decision. He didn't get a chance to sit with his team, or he just didn't take the time to sit with his team, and this is what happened here. The results are the results, and now Team Boomer Bust is right there with the rest of us in the loser bracket. So now let's move on and check out the other team that was in the playoffs this week. All right, we have Raw Dog Supreme versus FTW. Raw Dog Supreme scores 88.14 points to 122.66. Team Raw Dog gets nothing from Russell Wilson practically. He might as well have gave him a 0 here. 156 yards, 1 interception, 3 sacks. That, like, you can pretty much just see it there. Like, that wasn't it. That's not good enough to win anybody anything. He does get good production from Christian Kirk, who had 9 receptions and 94 yards. 1 receiving touchdown. This may actually be his biggest week of the season. Let's just look at it here and see if that holds true. Okay, it finally came up, and yes, this is his biggest week of the season. Week 1 he did score 24 points, but in week 15 he narrowly has a little bit more, 24.40. So this is Christian Kirk's biggest week of the season, and Raw Dog Supreme was the benefactor of that. He just it wasn't enough for him to win all by himself. Jonathan Taylor does what Jonathan Taylor does for Raw Dog Supreme. He gets 170 yards and 1 rushing touchdown. The problem is he didn't get production from anywhere else. Raw Dog Supreme did not have DeAndre Hopkins because DeAndre Hopkins is injured, and he had to start Van Jefferson, and this was not a good week for Van Jefferson, who only had 2 receptions and 23 yards this week. And then it just doesn't get any better from there. He starts Michael Carter, who is back from injury, and essentially Michael Carter plays like he's back from injury. He only has 18 rushing yards, 1 reception. So it just wasn't a good week for him. But on the flip side, let's just look at the winner and see what happened over here. Brandon Cooks comes through big time for FTW here. He has 102 receiving yards on 7 receptions with 2 receiving touchdowns, giving Team FTW 29.20 points. And then you have Travis Kelce, who went Captain Insano, having his biggest week of the year. He had 191 receiving yards, 2 receiving touchdowns on 10 receptions. This may be Travis Kelce highest total for receiving yards in a single game of his career. I am not exactly sure of that, but it seems about right. I don't remember him ever getting close to 200 yards in a game before, but I could be wrong. The dude goes off a lot. But anyway, he gets 41.10 points here. Raw Dog Supreme, your time is over. Team Fuck the World decided to fuck you this week, and he decided to do it raw. So that's what it is. Welcome to the loser bracket, friend. Let's look at the bench and see if anything would have changed their fate. And absolutely not. Raw Dog Supreme started who he could, when he could. Unfortunately, he did not have no Waddle here this week, because Waddle was also out with injury. Or was it COVID? It was COVID or injury, one of them. But a lot of people was out because of COVID, so it's unfortunate for him. And Carson Wentz, he could have started Carson Wentz, but Carson Wentz didn't give him no better. Despite scoring 27 points against New England, Carson Wentz only threw for 57 passing yards and 1 passing TD. Just wanted to point that out there. And on the other side, where Raw Dog had no quarterbacks that could have gave him help, FTW had 2 quarterbacks. He had Matthew Stafford, who only gave him 17 points, and Jalen Hurts, who's sitting on his bench with 28.14 points here against the Washington football team. Team FTW has a hard choice going forward for the rest of the season. Jalen Hurts has a very fair schedule going forward the rest of the season, but Matthew Stafford is clearly a better quarterback, so he has to juggle that and see who he's going to start here, because as we can see, Jalen Hurts has the New York Giants coming up next, and then he goes up against Washington football team again. So if FTW continues to win, this is like, he has to make that choice here on who he's going to start, because Jalen Hurts has, like, despite what you may feel about him in the real world, in the fantasy world, he has been playing pretty damn well. So he's only had, let's see, 2 weeks where he's done bad. He had 11 points on Halloween, and against the Giants he has 6. Every other week he's been performing very well, if not above his pay grade. And against the Chargers he had 18, but 18 is still respectable even though it's not the greatest. So, and as far as fantasy goes, Jalen Hurts is a great start, but I don't blame you if you decide to start Matthew Stafford over him. But anyway, continuing on, like I said, Labarticus Prime didn't start anybody in his lineup this week. So now we're going to go into this constellation bracket here and look at the matchups for Your Player Got Hurt versus Corey's championship team. Your Player Got Hurt scores 63.88 points to Corey's championship team's 110.20. All right, so looking at it right away, we see some problems here. Despite Corey's championship team getting 0 production from Lamar Jackson, he still manages a blowout on Your Player Got Hurt. Your Player Got Hurt. The same issues that he's been having all season is the quarterback. Joe Burrow only throws for 157 passing yards and 1 passing touchdown. But he has some new issues this week where Najee Harris only gave 18 rushing yards and Joe Mixon only gave 58 rushing yards, and neither one of them found the end zone this week. That is new. That is not something that he is used to. It's not something that any of us are used to seeing. And despite Rashard Penny getting the full start and having a big week the week prior, he only gets 39 rushing yards this week and 2 receptions for 5 receiving yards. So he doesn't get much out of him there. And so he just had a bad week, down week. Pretty much his entire team was in single digits outside of the quarterback, and the quarterback didn't put much up in the double-digit margin. On the flip side, your Corey's championship team pretty much just did enough to get the victory. Antonio Gibson had 1 rushing touchdown that saved the day because he had 6 receptions for 39 receiving yards. I'm not sure. Let's look at what his rushing total was for this week, because he had 15 rushes for only 26 yards. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. That ain't gonna get the job done at all. So it looks like his touchdown saved his day for Antonio Gibson. And then you have DJ Moore, who has 6 receptions, 48 receiving yards, and 1 2-point conversion. Justin Jefferson does what Justin Jefferson does. He had 4 receptions, 47 yards. What saved the day was his touchdown. Okay, let's look at the bench and see if anything would have changed the fate for Your Player Got Hurt. Miles Sanders gave him 16 points, and Jeff Wilson gave him 19. This would have helped a lot in his situation. Wouldn't have been enough to change anything, but it would have definitely helped to make the score closer. But all that is just a matter of a little bit of pride. Anything else, it doesn't mean anything else in the long run. So let's look at the other 2 teams here. We have Not from 750 going up against team I Love Cam Newton. I'm pretty sure team I Love Cam Newton will be glad when this season is over so he could change his team name. But for now, that's what it is. It'll be forever in the record books. as his team name. So, Team We Not From 750 gets great production from Aaron Rodgers, 3 passing touchdowns, 268 yards. He suffered 3 sacks here. But it didn't matter. We Not From 750 has horrible receivers. He has Amari Cooper, who only gave him 2 receptions for 8 yards. Allen Robinson, who gave him 0 because of COVID-19 protocols, but he wouldn't have gave him much anyway because Chicago's their passing offense isn't very good, and that's being nice about it, honestly. So it wasn't going to change anything from there. Leonard Fournette had 7 receptions and 34 rushing yards and 33 receiving yards. The amount of receptions that Leonard Fournette had actually made this point total look better than what it was, because outside of that, he just didn't have a good day. But let's go ahead and look at the other side. What makes this victory for our team, I love Cam Newton, is this guy right here, Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp continues to be the best wide receiver in fantasy football this season. He has 9 receptions, 136 receiving yards, and 2 receiving touchdowns, which gives him 34.70 points. Let's just say that's a great number. Cooper Kupp is having an incredible season. Something that we all wish we could have. It's just unfortunate that it's on a team that lost out all season. So yeah, let's just looking back at it. Cooper Kupp had one 11-point game back in week 4, and since then he has not looked back. He has had 23. Like, that's incredible. Just looking at these numbers, guys. I hope you can see it. This is insane, man. Cooper Kupp had an incredible season, or is having an incredible season, and the fact that he's on, I know it sucks having a wide receiver like that on your team that's having an amazing season like that, and you're not in the playoffs. Doesn't make sense, but it goes to show that either you didn't draft very well or luck just wasn't on your side this year. Let's look at the bench and see if anything would have changed the fate for We Not From 750. Should have started Mac Jones. No, he shouldn't have. But Devontae Parker would have changed some things for him. He would have had 16 more points. Would have made it closer again, but what does closer matter? And he had AJ Green, who had 10, so it would have. What about? Actually, yeah, if he started all his bench players and swapped them out for the guys that he started, it might have been close enough to get the victory. I don't know, but I'm just looking at it. The numbers almost look right. So anyway, that is it for what we have for this week. Now let's look at the quarterfinals for the playoffs. And in the quarterfinals, we have Lombardicus Prime going up against Team Indianimals. This is the 3rd time that these two teams see each other this season. I do believe that they split on the season, so this one is for all the marbles, and it's in the championship bracket. These two gentlemen do not like each other at all. Lombardicus Prime and Indianimals have been going at it in the chat all season long. They've been barking back and forth, and now we're about to see who gets the ultimate laugh, because this is in the playoffs, baby. Somebody's going to knock somebody out. And I mean, when they knock them out in the playoffs, they knock them the fuck out. You're done. It's over. Season's a wrap. So now let's look at it and see who's going to win this game. Team Labarticus Prime, they are set to score 111.79 to Team Indiana's 122.36. All right, Team Labarticus Prime seems like they do not know who they want to start in this running back position here, because it is currently empty. And let's just see what we think about what's going to happen this week. All right, so Deebo Samuel is back, and for a Thursday night game. Thursday night games are always weird. So Deebo Samuel could have his day, but we'll see how that goes. Antonio Brown. All right, so it looks like Antonio Brown is he's off his suspension, and it's lucky for Team Indiana's that I dropped him like 3 weeks ago, when I didn't need him anymore. But Team Indiana's found him, and it looks like he's in line to have a huge day. Indiana's is going to be the benefactor of me dropping Antonio Brown when he was suspended and when it didn't matter anymore for me. Let's look at the bench here. Tyler Lockett is on protocol here. And it's Austin Eckler who is also on protocol. Let's see, is there a chance that he could make it? All right, so Austin Eckler should have been placed on protocol on Monday, but he wasn't placed on protocol till Wednesday. That's not good. Like, that's not good at all, honestly. That shows that there's a good chance that he doesn't play this week. But Labarticus Prime does have his backup in Justin Jackson, so it's not the end of the world for him if he has to go that way. But then he does have some decisions to make there. It's like Labarticus Prime is going with Schultz over Mike Gesicki. Mike Gesicki has definitely been better than Schultz on the season, but he must be feeling something there. So that's going to be an interesting matchup to see how that plays out. But yeah, all right. In this matchup, I like Labarticus Prime because he has the better quarterback. He has the better quarterback for sure. Antonio Brown is in line for a huge day, but Deebo Samuel could have a huge day as well. And I don't think Hunter Henry's going to do the same thing again with an amazing performance. So I'm just going to go ahead and pick Labarticus Prime here for the W. The next matchup is Team Big Trust versus FTW, the second place versus the third place. Team Big Trust is set to score 124.88 to 121.49. This is an even matchup here. Luckily for Team Big Trust, Tom Brady does get the compliment of Antonio Brown back. Mike Evans, who is more than, let's see if he's set to play. He is currently showing questionable, but he does have a hamstring injury. And he did, in fact, lose Chris Godwin for the season. So let's look at it here. You have Mike Evans, who yesterday did not practice Wednesday. Evans is considered week to week after pulling up lame against the Saints last Sunday. His status for week 16 against the Panthers remains up in the air. So this shows to me that Mike Evans may not actually play. He didn't practice, and if they consider him week to week in a pulled hamstring, there's a great likelihood that he doesn't play. But Big Trust is holding out hope that he does, because, well, that's all he got. All he got is hope. He could play Devontae Smith, but Devontae Smith doesn't get very many balls that gets thrown his way. So it's not a good idea there. So let's look. After looking at this, if Huntley continues to play, Mark Andrews should continue to have good games. As you can see here, since Huntley has been starting, he's had 11 targets and 11 receptions in week 14, and he had 10 receptions in week 15. So this is Huntley has been a godsend for Mark Andrews' production, and hopefully he continues to be so. For big trust there, Brandon Cooks comes up on COVID-19 protocols, which is not a good thing for FTW. That is his best receiver. And let's look at it here to see if there's a chance that he'll end up playing this week. Cooks is the latest player to end up on the COVID list, putting him in the question for Sunday week 16 bout with the Chargers. Cooks is coming off a 102 yard, 2 touchdown evisceration of the Jaguars last week. If Cooks sits, rookie Nico Collins would be the first favorite for the targets. Okay, so they don't know if he actually sits, but it's up in the air. And Travis Kelce is also on COVID-19 protocols. So looking at it, because there's so much up in the air for FTW, I feel as though if these guys play, if he gets Brandon Cooks and Travis Kelce, he has a great chance to win. If they don't play, it certainly hurts his chances. Oh, I'm going to go. You know what? Honestly, I don't like the running backs on Team Big Trust. I'm still going to go FTW. I know it's not likely to happen, but I'm going FTW, man. Let's look at the consolation bracket. Fuck the Fantasy Football Gods goes up against I Love Cam Newton. You have Kyler Murray, Jamar Chase. Jamar Chase has been awful. Kyler Murray came off his worst game of the season last week, which is essentially why Fuck the Fantasy Football Guy scored so low. He had Kyler Murray give him practically nothing, Jamar Chase give him nothing, and then he got nothing from Cordero Patterson, who he's been relying on all season, which is why his score was so low in week 15. Luckily for him, he had a bye week, but none of this matters because it's all the loser bracket. So I'm just going to go through this quickly because it's the loser bracket and just pick a winner. And my winner for this week, based on what I'm seeing here, Devontae Adams should have a big week going up against Cleveland. Cooper Kupp is definitely going to have a big week because he always does. Dak Prescott is not going to score very many points. He just hasn't been the same player. And so I'm just going to go with Fuck the Fantasy Football Guys this week. And we're going to continue on. Your player got hurt goes up against We Not From 750. Your player got hurt. I know he wants this victory. I know this team is looking for this victory this week. I wish them luck in achieving that goal. I do not think Najee Harris will have a repeat performance, nor do I think that Joe Mixon will have a repeat low performance either. So I think that he should be on the uptick this week. And We Not From 750, his receivers still suck. So I am definitely going with Your Player Got Hurt. Next is Team Boomer Bust versus Raw Dog Supreme. two newcomers to the loser bracket. They go up against each other right away. And in this matchup, you have Josh Allen, who's going up against New England. Russell Wilson, that team has just sucked. And his receivers aren't very good. I think George Kittle could carry the day for Team Boom or Bust here. And Jonathan Taylor. Oh, but Kyle Pitts goes up against Detroit. That could be a big day for Raw Dog Supreme. Either way, I'm still picking Team Boom or Bust. And lastly, we have Corey's championship team going up against Reese's Buttercup team. Alright, Cole Beasley is under COVID-19 protocol. Let's see. Does Lamar Jackson play this week? Yeah. Lamar Jackson ankle remains sidelined at Wednesday's practice. Jackson has basically missed the last two games after leaving week 14, following 10 snaps. Tyler Huntley has played well in his absence, but he's still a downgrade on a healthy Jackson. Whoever is under center this week against the Bengals will be an upside QB. Thanks to the rushing ability. Like, just looking at it on the surface here, like, Reese's Buttercup team does not have running backs. Terry McLaurin is a decent wide receiver, but they don't have a quarterback that can really truly throw him the ball. So that's not really much that can be done there. Looks like Reese's Buttercup team is going with the two tight end set in this matchup. Just going with Conklin and Zach Ertz. I don't really see that working out too much for. I'm going to go with Corey's championship team and agree that with the favorite here, he is favored by 75%. So I'm going to agree here and say that he takes this W. So folks, that is the end of this episode. That is all we got here for the fantasy playoffs. And we will now, I guess we will ride this ride and see where it takes us, who's going to be the champion in the end. Either way, whoever's the champion is going to be talking a lot of shit. They're going to be talking crazy. And unless it's a team FTW, because I doubt that he'll just be, he hasn't said anything all season, so why would he start now? And Coach, if he wins, I'm pretty sure that most of his stuff will either be passive aggressive or it's going to be directed directly at Darius. So yeah, that'll be fun to watch if Coach wins. But Team Big Trust and Darius, I'm not really rooting for either one of you guys. Just is what it is. Keep the same energy, all day. But hey, if Darius wins and it's Team Indie Animals, might as well just keep the name forever, bro, because it brought you luck. But that's all I got for this episode. Thank you for watching and paying attention. Like, subscribe. Peace.